going on, guys? It's Brigade once again, and we're back at it with another session of Killzone Shadow Fall. Alright guys, this is just going to be a standard 24-man war zone. And actually this was a pretty cool war zone to me. The main reason is because I actually got to play with subs. Right? 2 of them. And now keep in mind, I wasn't playing against people who are sub to me. I was actually playing against 2 guys that I'm sub to. Right? So this was definitely a challenging war zone. Right? Because in other words, like when I first started, I noticed one of them and I'm like, oh shit, it's BG. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to Broken Games HD. Both Broken Games HD and Cookie L Monster. As a matter of fact, I think, yep, I just got killed by Cookie right there. Both of those guys have awesome game channels. Now, you know, their channels aren't concentrated on any one particular game. BG in particular, he does a lot of game news, video game reviews, and game walkthroughs. Right, and he also streams on Twitch. Cookie L, he does game reviews, news, and playthroughs as well, but not necessarily as frequent as BG. All right, so when I finally noticed that as a matter of fact, there go Broken Games HD. So when I finally noticed that both of them were playing, I'm like, holy shit, time to put on my game face. Right? So I'll go ahead and put the link to both of those guys' channels in the description box. Right, if you guys are just kind of interested in game news, reviews, and walkthroughs, go ahead and check out both of their channels. So, you know, initially I wanted to start off with the Insurgent class. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but the last video I uploaded, I basically said that, in my personal opinion, the Insurgent class is the best. Now, when I said that the Insurgent class was the best, I'm basically talking about as far as options. Like, your options are endless. You could do pretty much anything. Now, is it tough to use the Insurgent class? Yes, it is kind of tough, because in order for you to do well with the Insurgent class, you really have to mix a lot and juggle a lot of things at one time. You're basically a jack of all trades whenever you're using this class, right? Because you have to think about, I mean, there's a lot of things you have to think about. Number one, one thing that I consider, well, actually, let me take that back, because in the beginning, you don't necessarily have to consider, and that's as far as challenges. Like, just with the Insurgent class by himself, there's like, I don't even have a number. I'll just say a crap ton of challenges associated with it. Like, in other words, let's just say the support class. Right, you'll have challenges to where you'll have to get X amount of kills with all support class weapons. Well, guess what? With the Insurgent class, you have to get X amount of kills with all the weapons in the damn game. Because since your job is to steal, hack, and to pillage for the most part, be a scavenger, you have to get X amount of kills with every single weapon in the game. So in the beginning, it's not that bad, because in other words, you can pick up Rumbler, get a lot of kills, you get a lot of challenges done. Pick up a Pulver, get a lot of kills, get a lot of challenges done. But later on, you know, the more you get more and more kills with different types of weapons, and you start satisfying those kill challenges for those weapons, then you have to be a lot more selective. Right? So that's one thing to consider, the challenges. And that's not only weapons, but that's also abilities. Like, in other words, not only do you have to, matter of fact, you have to max out all abilities in the damn game, like everybody's abilities. You have to be able to have stolen all the support class abilities, all the assault class abilities, and all of the sniper class or scout class abilities. And you have to do that. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it's a lot of times that you have to be able to do it. Right? So you get, there are weapon challenges, hack and steal challenges. Well, actually hack challenges to where you have to hack like pretty much all of the ground in place equipment for X amount of times. And then you have to steal abilities from each class in the game X amount of times. So there are a lot of things to consider, which is why I understand why the challenge count went from somewhere around 1600, 1682, I believe it was, to now 2200. So that's crazy. For a lot of the guys who like challenges, that's a good thing. But, I wouldn't really recommend that Guerrilla Games continue to just tack on challenges because, in other words, let's just say you're just starting the game, right? And yeah, it may be cool initially. Every single time you play the game, you're knocking out 10, 15, 20 challenges. But guess what? 2200 plus is still 2200 plus. Which in the beginning, I was kind of fine with the way they have the challenge system now. But, now that a lot of people have asked for the more traditional type of challenging system, and when I say traditional, I mean like, private, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, and whatnot. That type, I can kind of understand. Now, keep in mind, it's not really a big deal to me, right? Because the numbers are still an indicator of a person's experience. Like, in other words, you're not going to catch a person with 1,500 plus challenges completed. Now, keep in mind, I have just under 1,800. I still have 400 challenges to go. You're not going to run into a guy with under 1,500 challenges who did not do their share of all classes. Now, I'm not saying that they're equally good at all classes, but you will not find a person with that many challenges completed who did not at least get enough experience in all 4 classes. Right? Because one thing that held me at around 1,000 challenges completed for the longest time was the fact that I primarily used the support class. It was my favorite class. I would say initially it was the support class, then the assault class, then the scout class. Right, but then we received the buff to the Camarade a couple months ago, and then that kind of tipped the scale in the favor of the Scout class. But now, anyway, it's just crazy. I think you guys kind of get it by now. The challenge system is fine, but they can't keep tacking on too many challenges before people start saying, okay, now this is just kind of outrageous. So enough about that. Now, as you guys can tell, we're definitely doing pretty good so far. And I think in this particular, and this is just a 24-man standard Warzone. This is not even the extended type of Warzone. And in this particular Warzone, I think I went like 59 and 29. So it wasn't really that bad. Now, another thing that I kind of want to talk about is some of the new abilities we have with the Insurgent pack. Now, for all of you guys who received the Insurgent pack, we have the E-Pulse emitter, the Tactical Echo emitter, and the guard drone. And in my opinion, I would say that the E-Pulse emitter and the Tactical Echo emitter are the most valuable. Not only are they the most viable, like they're the most important of the new abilities. Now, the guard drone is cool. It's just kind of like a stationary buddy drone that stays in one place and guards an area. But because it's not necessarily as strong as, let's just say, let's just say a ground support turret or an air drone, because it's not as strong as those, like I personally wouldn't waste my time. But then again, it is an option for the scout class. Now, one thing that I have noticed that these assault guys are not taking advantage of this E-Pulse emitter. They are not taking advantage of it, dude. You know what? I'm basically going to spell out what I do. Whenever I play this game, I always switch back and forth, mostly between the assault class and the support class. Now, whenever I get, paired off with a good team, then I'll go ahead and run the Insurgent class, because that way I can concentrate on complete challenges and everything. However, when I'm not necessarily on a good team, And when I say good team, I mean like have a lot of experience, right? Like there's guys that I usually pair up with, not always intentionally, but because they usually play as often as I do, sometimes we find ourselves either on the same team or on opposing teams, right? So I mean, it just kind of happens that way. And one thing that I do, like I always start off with a support class, and I always start off with the spawn beacon just to kind of gauge what kind of team I'm on. And I can always tell what kind of team that I'm on, like within the first, I'll just say minute or so. If within the first minute I'm the only one who drop a spawn beacon, I have reason to believe I'm not necessarily on a good team. Because most people, at least at this point, should understand the importance of good spawn beacon placement. And if that is not made a priority, now keep in mind, this doesn't take into account people who may come in later or whatnot, or people who eventually change. I'm saying that off the top, when I first start, that's usually my indicator, and it determines how I'm going to play. Now, usually after that, I'll go ahead and find a ground support turret. Now, right after the ground support turret, I'm scanning based upon what kind of objectives we're in. So may it be a capture and hold, may it be a search and destroy. Based upon the type of missions we have, I'll go ahead and switch straight to the assault class, because that e-pulse emitter is awesome. As a matter of fact, I've only had this this Insurgent class for a few days, and I've almost maxed it out. I'm almost at e-pulse emitter 11. It's awesome because you get all of these noobs, and you know what, I think I'm going to upload a video. I have a video where I think it was me and Hit Squad X, I mean not Hit Squad, yeah, One Hit Quitter, my bad, not Hit Squad, Hit Squad is another guy, and One Hit Quitter, dude, we were both on either an extended war zone or just a standard war zone, and I swear to God, the only thing our opposition did was spam the shit out of air drones and ground support turrets. It was such a nightmare. And whereas most times I'm mostly running support class, dude, I almost disabled the whole team's offensive strategy just by spamming the e-pulse emitter. Right, and I really think that a lot of people should think tactically when they're playing this game, right? Not just, and see, this is why I say Killzone is really a good game. As a matter of fact, the analogy that I would like to use is Killzone is more like chess, nowhere near checkers, right? Because it's not just run and gun. Can you run and gun? Yes, you can. And for that, you know, they have team deathmatch. But it's mainly about cooperative play and making tactical decisions. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying it's like on the level of, you know, actually, I'm not trying to make it more than what it is. But what I am saying is, if you want to be successful, especially with team play, clan play, or whatever the case may be, you definitely have to think. You can't just, in other words, let me give you an example. Yes, spawn beacons are important, but should you just place spawn beacons anywhere? No, because it'll just get torn down. Yes, ground support turrets are important, but you know, should you just put it out in the open? Well, not necessarily, because it'll just get shot down. So you have to at least think a little bit. And another thing, just like the e-pulse emitter, can you just throw one down? Yeah, you can. But now that we have the Insurgent class, if you just carelessly throw them down, it can get hacked by an opposing Insurgent class, or can get destroyed. So, you know, you need to put them in strategic places, which will cause for you to think a little bit. But at the same time, they should be in locations to where it would be the most effective. So the e-pulse emitter is basically a deployable beacon for the assault class that sends out an e-pulse, making it for the most part difficult for enemy units to install automata in that area, which is awesome in my opinion. Now, the tactical echo emitter, I think that's real good for stationary type missions. May it be capture and hold, or may it be search and destroy attack, or search and destroy defend, especially defend, right? Because when you're defending, basically all you have to do is just keep your ground, stay in one area and defend it. Like, that's basically all you have to do. So to find a good location for that basically lets your team know where the enemy fires are approaching, where they're coming from. Because once it sends the echo emitter pulse, like it basically, I mean, it works the same way that the scout class radars work. For the most part, spot and mark. Same thing. But the actual description is a deployable beacon for the support class that sends out a tactical echo from a fixed location, making that area hard to infiltrate by hidden enemy units, which is awesome. So I really think that a lot of people like, because, you know, I read on the forums pretty often where people are talking about how people spam air drones and how people spam. As a matter of fact, there's one guy, I think his name is like Cloud or Cloudburst. Dude, that guy writes so many forum postings about people spamming air drones. I think I'm going to send this to him. Right? Dude, take advantage of that e-pulse emitter. And, you know, another thing that I like to say, you know, I know we all have our favorite class. My favorite class by far is the support class overall. But I like the Insurgent class because of his endless options. But the support class is the most consistent. Like, in other words, I don't have to worry about taking a gamble on someone else's weapons. I don't have to take a gamble on, you know, the type of sights that someone else's uses. You know, I know what type of underbarrel attachments that I have, so I don't have to worry about that. It's pretty much consistent. Everything is like straightforward and to the point. The Insurgent class on the other hand is cool, but a lot of times it's a gamble. Like, in other words, now keep in mind, I am getting better with other sites now that I have been playing the Insurgent class a lot more, but I had a hard time for the longest trying to get adjusted to these sites because, as you guys can tell in a lot of my videos, I run red dots. The red dots is good for me, right? It doesn't obstruct my view, everything, especially when it comes to multiple targets. Now, keep in mind the ACOG does look more fancy, right? But at the end of the day, who cares about being fancy? I care about results. Results is what matters. Now, and, you know, Dark Souls or something like that is all about fashion souls. But at the end of the day, you'll get other people who say, well, who gives a damn about fashion souls? It's all about the end game, the results, you know, defense, the poise and whatnot. So, you know, whereas there are some classes that are more fun, in my opinion, the support class is the most reliable. It has all the perks that I prefer. I really love the fact that it can control the battlefield with the strategic placement of spawn beacons. I mean, it's just good to go. And a hard second I would say, or damn near running neck and neck, is the Insurgent class. But the only thing that puts, like I said before, the support class on top for me is the fact that the support class is the most consistent. I know what weapons, I know what sights, I know what underbarrel attachments, and I'm familiar with all of the abilities, and there's not a gamble. Right, because, you know, there's certain weapons whenever I use the Insurgent class and I have to deal with the Halo sight. Other times I have to deal with the ACOG sight. And like I said before, I'm getting a little better with the ACOG sight, but I just do not like the Halo sight. I do not like it. Because for whatever reason, whenever I'm using a red dot, I just like the fact that I can see that X, right? Because that X basically translates to hit markers. Whereas when you're using a Halo, it's just kind of like that dot in the middle. I really don't like that dot in the middle. Now, you kind of get the same little X in the middle whenever you use the ACOG. I just don't like it because it's big and bulky. Right? I even noticed a lot of people use the ACOG sight whenever they're using, like, let's just say the Rumbler. And, you know, does it look cool? You know, you have the blue color in there and it looks all hot and all of that. But who cares about hot? I don't want my view obstructed. Which is why that like 90% of the time you can catch the brigade with the red dot. It's just bread and butter. I mean, it's everything to me. So enough about that. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up this commentary. You guys can go ahead and check out the rest of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and keep in mind I am going to I'm just trying to get some footage together so I can get these challenge videos together. There's a lot of challenges, so but you know, the videos aren't going to be long. They're going to be, you know, maybe 3 to 5 minutes at most, because if all I'm doing is explaining how to accomplish certain challenges, like, that doesn't take long. So keep in mind they'll be rolled out surely enough, and it's mainly for a lot of these guys who are kind of new to the game and they're not really familiar with how to accomplish some of these things. So, you know, just give me a little time, have a little patience. I appreciate all the patience up to this point, but I definitely will start to roll out those challenge videos. Alright guys, so hey, once again, please give please check out good old BG, Broken Games HD, and Cookie L Monster if you guys are interested in good gaming channels. And hey, until next time, Martyrs Brigade is out.